Eskerrik asko.
Thank you, Amaya. The secretary mentioned challenges, but also opportunities. And in fact, we have this wonderful presentation on the screen that you can see now. And the Deputy Regional Minister for VET, John, asked me to briefly speak about the challenges we face in the Basque education system, and we reach an agreement. We have to speak about challenges in general terms, but also about what we're doing well, and about VET, because that's why we're here at the end of the day. And as I've mentioned at the beginning of today's summit, there's no doubt that we face big challenges because the world is constantly changing. And from yesterday to today, many things have happened. I was coming to this meeting and I heard on the radio what have been the changes overnight. We don't know what will be happening in the future. And I was asking myself, what is our position to face all of these challenges? That's why I decided to wear this green jacket, showing that we are hopeful, because in the Basque Country, we are resilient and we are facing all the challenges, which is good news. I also mentioned at the beginning in the introduction, I mentioned that education has to do with a capacity to adapt to change, and that education is preparing people and helping them build their life projects and to support them in that process. That is the mission of the education, and that is our vision and our role, the role of all of us here from our different jobs. So we have a responsibility as a government administration, as school centers, as teachers too. So we have the responsibility of facing all these changes, and we are aware that in education we will be able to have an influence and impact in all of these changes. And Yona and I have talked about this, and I would like to underline the following. What is our position? What is the situation of our educational system nowadays? We have objective reasons to believe we have some strengths and that we are strong, which is something that is good to remember and to share with you all. But I hear myself and I believe I am repeating myself, but maybe what I'm saying today is new for some of you. We have one of the lowest um, mm, percentage of students dropping their studies. And why is this happening? Why are students still in the system? Whereas there's many reasons for that, and there are indicators like how we try to guarantee early access in a universal and free manner in the Basque educational system. That's why we don't have that high rate in school dropout, which is something we've achieved through our system, and is something positive. But evidence says that the earlier the access, the better the future of these children. So this early access to school is part of our mission and our achievements. I don't know if some of you come from the university sphere, but we have a percentage of students with a degree that is quite high. And this is something that we would also like to share with you, because this is something positive. Why? because at the time in the past we decided to try to work on the basis of equality and inclusion with a clear strategy to achieve this. And the contribution of VET is very important, and all the work they've done throughout the years. We are also aware that we face challenges, big challenges, in fact. There's something I would like to focus on here, and that is what are the roots of our educational system. If we need to define education, education is a non tangible heritage. So it's cultural heritage, but also economic heritage. And this defines us as who we are. And vocational education and training is at the core of this. And we know that there's also several pillars that are the values of VT. But when we speak about values, we're really speaking about knowledge. What do I mean by this? What we need to do is to transfer this knowledge to our students so that they get general skills and they develop their critical thinking skills, and that they're also able to study according to their own criteria. And this is based on values like knowledge, but also another very important value, which is to be able to coexist with each other, because school are at the end of the day is where we work on this, on living together and coexisting. And the staff, the teaching staff, and the students and the community have to all coexist. So this is a part of what VET contributes, and we're able to develop this system. This brings us to social cohesion. When we mention social cohesion, or when we read this term, it seems to be an abstract concept, but it's not so abstract. There's people behind social cohesion, specific actions that allow us to have a social cohesion. There's another fundamental element here, which is equity and quality. I consider that our most important mission is the following. And if there's something that has been developed in the last 40 years, is to offer everyone access to education so that they are part of the education system. This has meant that we have diversity in our education system, and also that more people are able to access, and therefore we face more challenge. But we also need to focus on quality that is linked to innovation, to training. And in my view, these three elements on the screen are key elements in, and when we develop our education system, and they are the three main pillars for the Basque education system. And let me talk also about VET, of course. That's why we're here today. Those of us in this room mainly work on VET, but we always need to have a global view of what education is and what is or how does VET contribute to the life pathway of many people. And we need to talk about the data, the figures, because we're very proud of this. We have a VET system with 184 schools providing VT services to our citizens with more than 50,000 students. We have Nico here, who is managing everything. Last year was an important year because we had an important growth moment. And we've had an increase of 33% from 2015 to 2025. This means lots of people working behind the scenes. There is a strategy that has been set and an ambition, a goal, because I mentioned before the model that we want for BET. And in fact, we clearly know that our goal is to be driving force for our citizens and for the people that are part of the whole ecosystem. And there are very important elements that I would like to mention, like innovation and entrepreneurship, where we still have many things to do. I see some people here from the business world, and we still have a lot to do regarding entrepreneurship. It is difficult, but I do believe that nowadays we have set a great strategy to be able to have important data in the next 10 years, because we know that education is a long-term project. What we're working on now is on what is going to happen in many years, and we have to start now as soon as possible. Another important element is that I mentioned before how important it is to have a strategy that is fully aligned with what we are, what we have, our needs, but also what is happening in Europe. And in this world of uncertainty, we need to always be aware of what is happening around us. And in fact, in the Basque Country, we have the structure to be able to be aware and to be able to monitor what is happening with this technology surveillance. And there's another element that I would like to mention, which is our smart schools. The law was mentioned by the secretary, and the law for vocational education and training has meant an opportunity to be even more ambitious. In the Basque Country, for many years now, we had the goal and had a vision of where we had to get in vocational education and training. And the concept of smart school is something that we're still building on, but that we've already been able to progress on. And that's why I think it's very interesting that you were able to visit center schools yesterday, today, and for you to see what we're working on for the future. When I visit a BT school, I believe these schools have a soul, because there's many people with many different roles, and you even see people from businesses in these schools. And this is our model for VET, smart schools that provide services to the students, but also to those in the businesses that are 2 blocks away, for example. And this is the model that we have and that we're working on for many years now. Something else that is important and that we should focus on, I believe. Here we have the increase we've had in basic VET, and this is an important figure, which will be even more relevant in future years. And I will be speaking about this basic VET further on. And in the Basque Country, VET is a reference, a benchmark in Europe and beyond our borders. And there is a strategy. I don't know if Inyo is here, who is a head of internationalization, but we want to work not only with what we have surrounding us, but being aware of what is happening in other countries. And we have big projects that I know that will be presented to you tomorrow, to those people coming from more than 130 countries. I believe this hasn't been mentioned till now, which for me is fundamental, and is fundamental specifically for VET. And that is that we need leadership, shared leadership that reaches out to everyone. Because in the government, we can do many things, but if we don't get people to really believe in our vision and our projects, then we won't be able to progress. For me, this is essential. I'm speaking about leadership to convince others, to organize and change BET schools so that they have a different way of looking towards the needs surrounding them. This is a shared project that doesn't happen overnight. And what's really important here is the role of the teachers, and that's a big challenge. The secretary and myself had a conversation about this last night because we have to create this role for the teachers, this specific role. Because you come from your own environment and suddenly you're in a school, a VET school. And here we have the dilemma of a generational turnover because this is something we need to focus on and be part of the strategy to have the best way of supporting our teaching staff. We have advanced models, but it still continues to be a challenge. And I go back to basic VT, where there are many vulnerabilities amongst our students. So we need teachers that have a different way of seeing things, that we look into the eyes of the students and we really see them, because sometimes that is a difficult step. And this is a way of making sure that everyone feels belonging, feels that they belong to the system. So the way in which we train the teachers to have this way of doing things is something we should continue focusing on. One of the challenges we face, and that I mentioned before, is that VET is very much linked to where we are present. We have a network of schools in different territories in the Basque Country, and this is something we should not forget. But of course, this demands support and for us to reinforce the concept of networking. And we're giving important steps forward to do so. That's why it's important to have the leaders that we need in the schools and in the managing structures. This is something that is important for us. We are here in the Basque Country looking outside towards the world with the representation of more than 130 countries today, which is wonderful to be able to exchange experiences with countries that are very different. That's where we see that different cultures, we have different cultures, different languages, but we have a shared vision of the challenges to train people, and then we all adapt it to our own needs and context, which helps us be more resilient. I know that maybe the term resilient has been overused, but I love it because I believe it defines VET in the Basque Country. We are resilient. We're always monitoring what is happening. We're trying to know what is going to be happening. Our schools are like lighthouses where we have people monitoring what is happening. And this is what makes VT really valuable. At least that's how I see it. This allows us to have a strategic position internationally, which is also another of our ambitions. So it's a challenge that we should continue focusing on. And I believe also the secretary has mentioned the issue of AI and technology. What can I say about this? This is a world to explore, and we have two sides to this. We have, on the one hand, education, and on the other hand, businesses. We currently have an explosion of AI. Each day we receive new questions, we have new doubts from all kinds of schools, VT schools, even though we have teams that are focusing on this. And these are challenges that we face each and every day. Like, for example, how we need to have a way of adapting what is happening to our own protocols. We have to take into account the regulations. We're working on the new strategy on digital transformation. And of course, AI has a significant role. We also need a specific regulations on the use, ethical use of AI. And there's still mm, an area where there are many unknowns. So we need to be careful because there are fears, but there are also opportunities, which is what we need to transfer to society. We need to address this issue. And the more knowledge we have, the better. We have to develop regulations to adapt to this and have specific protocols for our schools. And I always say that from the fear, we also have opportunities. And then, of course, we need the skilling of everyone in our education system and in BT schools. This is what we need to focus on because we need our staff to have criteria, and for that they need to be trained and have a know-how and knowledge. The area of R&D is also contributing new information each and every day on the area of AI, which is a challenge and an opportunity for VET in the future. The other element I mentioned is the business world, and our VET schools work directly with companies. I see people from Confebasque here. The Basque country is made up mainly of SMEs. There's some big companies, but these SMEs don't always have the agility to be able to respond in an immediate manner to the challenges that they face. And this is happening each and every day. And that's where we can help them as an education system. And here we have some examples of what is happening, even though the secretary has already mentioned this. Now we have some deficits in a specific professional profiles, and that is where we believe AI will help us to provide digital solutions to many of these objectives, and also to maintaining what we have in businesses. So we are training, and we're also working directly with the businesses. We cannot stop. We need to continue exploring and researching. And then we have citizenship, digital skills. The pandemic made us aware of how this is something necessary for all citizens. And this is very helpful because we have to speak about lifelong learning, which is a great part of VET too. And let me go now to lifelong learning. I really like what Pablo Freire used to said. He was saying that conceptually this is very dense, but this is something important because I see the people from the employment department from the Basque government with whom we collaborate, and I believe this is a great opportunity for the next few years in the Basque country. We've already started to work on lifelong learning in BT, but we still face many challenges, and one of the challenges is the demographic transition. And what is happening here? There's two important items. First of all, the low birth rates. I'm not going to give you data from other regions, but that is a challenge for the Basque country. But we also have the challenge of generation turnover. Profiles that have training, but that will be leaving their jobs in a few years. So we need to focus on upskilling and reskilling. This is a great opportunity, but we need to really understand inclusion to be able to progress in these ideas. We face a challenge here. Maybe if you go to other countries like Turkey or the Netherlands, it's different. But in the Basque Country, we are now facing a challenge in the way in which we work with our different students, students that are migrants, but also workers that are migrants. We have many, many people that need to become part of our system, and they have a different culture. They have their own know-how, but we need to validate that knowledge, which is also one of the challenges that we face at a regulatory level, and that we need to face as a comprehensive system. So, what does lifelong learning contribute? And there's a broad literature on this. Of course, we need to learn through life to adapt to social changes, to adapt to business changes. But behind a good lifelong learning strategy, there's the coexistence of two elements, the economic element, but also the human side of things. So we should not only be flexible and see that there's new professional opportunities, but this is very much linked to mental health and physical health, and it can be very helpful in the personal development of citizens, which is also linked to this generation turnover. We have people that want and will continue to learn, and I believe this is something that BET should continue exploring. So we face big challenges, but also have big opportunities. But we have to look at the financial side of things to adapt ourselves to what will come in the future. But also we face the challenge as human beings. So I would like to also underline those elements that maybe are not so visible, but are also significant, that are significant because of the cultural changes happening in the business world. And as said, we've talked about this before. The value given to the work or job of someone that has recently started to work, or to someone that has been working for 40 years, has really changed. It's not the same. And this is something we should also work on by creating new working ecosystems. I'm always saying that we can have different diagnoses regarding why things are happening, but they need to bear in mind different elements and factors to understand why we face those challenges in the business world. And this is something that we can do from vocational education and training, because I believe we have the tools and we can create a more ambitious model. We have an ambitious model that can become even more ambitious. I don't know how I'm doing with time. We've talked about the demographic challenge, about lifelong learning, and now I would like to speak about energy sustainability and the environment. And once again, here we have two sides of the coin. We have the education side of things, but also the business side of things. There's many opportunities. There's a great discussion regarding green skills and what will happen with them. There's a discussion regarding the model that has to be implemented in the Basque Country. But in VET, we've always understood what we had to develop and the kinds of programs that had to be taught in each district, because we have this adapted VET that adapts to each business area. And this is a world where we're still seeing new opportunities. The green and environmental world, where we start with raising awareness with the students, but also when they go to work to companies and they understand how a sustainable company should be run. And here we have a team of people that are researching and monitoring what is happening worldwide through European projects, and they bring this know-how to the Basque country to incorporate it in BET centers and schools, and in how we also transfer this know-how to businesses, something that I'm very proud of. And this is a part of the basic VT mission to contribute to green employment.
Education cannot be understood without talking about inclusion and diversity. This is one of our most important challenges right now in our vocational training centers, but also, and here we have people from the Department of Employment, but also at the work level. It's one of the most important challenges that we have. Inclusive education is our model, is the Basque model for education. We believe in that model. It's getting a great challenge to respond to the needs of all our students and our workers, but we are doing research, we are doing training, and we are trying to make our people understand that education cannot be understood without, without the glasses of inclusion. It's not possible. We have to make our students, our professionals, be part, of the system, of the learning moment, of the professional moment. They have to feel that they are part of it. And this is one of the most important things that we have to work on. There's another challenge when we talk about diversity, is the challenge of gender, and how we try to attract women to some vocational training tracks that are right now suffer a deficit in our system. Technology, for example, manufacturing, for example. If I'm not mistaken, more or less, we are 35%, 35%, estamos por ahí, más o menos. We want more, because we think that's the way to face diversity, inclusion, and equality, so as to say. So this is one of our challenges right now, and it's part of our strategy. And of course, lifelong learning competencies for all people, for all people, so that they can have a proper, dignified life in the future, in the working environment, and also in the school context. Saiatuko naiz bukatzen ja, bai, ze gauza asko esan dit.
I'd like to mention innovation and entrepreneurship as something that are kind of like our leitmotifs. I enjoy talking about this. I'm not going to go into more detail about these two ideas, but what is true is that when our students feel empowered, when they're able to say, I can do this, I can create something, I can get involved, when the people that surround us, that support us, create this network and this opportunity to create and to be an entrepreneur. I think this is another challenge for the Basque country. That's where the future lies. New ideas, creation, and future opportunities will come from there, from our ability to create new economic and social ecosystems. We may be talking here about different kinds of projects, but above all, if we can offer students something within our VET system, it's the Ukurrats program. This program is one that encourages students to create businesses, to develop their ideas. This is still a major challenge for us. We need more. We need more creation and more businesses set up. And I actually think this is part of the Basque country's DNA. We are by nature creative. And there I ought to refer to the fact that we've organized the VET system here in the Basque country so that can happen. And Finally, another thing, we spoke about inclusion earlier, but we need to remember emotions. Emotions and care. Our current vocational training schools have a series of needs that we need to keep a watchful eye on. That's why professional development and teacher identity is something that needs to be present in the classroom. Teachers need to look at students in their eyes and say, look, we're here for you. We're going to hold your hand during your professional academic development as a person, that we understand you, we're here for you. We need to get this message across to our students, because they're people that are an age that's very vulnerable. They've been through a pandemic, and we're very, very clear of this. We need to care for our students and care for each other in general. This is something that's really important. In fact, more so in education than anywhere else. And we need to talk about it more in the world of education. And I firmly believe that I can close there. I love this sentence. This is what we're doing now, creating the future. The future of education is being created here and now. That's what it says on the screen. And that's true. And we need to play a role in the future history of education. I want to close by saying how proud we are of VET in the Basque Country. We need to say that out loud. There are many people here from other countries, and they need to know that that's the result of the hard work of people, and the way that we feel committed to our surroundings. This is something that's been created over many, many years of hard work. Let's never forget that. Let's never miss those opportunities that are out there. We need to be inspired to look to the future, look towards opportunities, especially at a time now where we're seeing there are major uncertainties. I'd like to keep the following idea, which is that the Basque Country is prepared to face those challenges. It's just a matter of finding the formula, finding the correct projects, and carry on developing our own products, our own strategy. That's what's so important. Always, of course, looking globally, but acting locally, doing things properly and doing things with quality, and all with the participation of everybody. That's all I wanted to say and close by saying always forward, never back.